All right, good evening, everyone. I'd like to welcome you all to the December 2nd, 2025 meeting of the West Richland City Council. We'll call that to order at 6 p.m. And before we get started, I'll ask Stephanie to read the hybrid meeting ground rules and then call the roll for council.
Thank you. Tonight's meeting will be held in person with a virtual meeting component. If you are participating virtually, please make sure the name shown at the bottom of your video view is the name you would like the mayor to use. You can change this by right-clicking on your video view and selecting Rename. Audience members present in the council chambers will be called upon first during public comment periods. Those participating remotely should virtually raise their hands if they wish to speak. To virtually raise your hand, click on Participants and then click on Raise Hand. If you are participating by phone only, press *9 to raise your hand. Please limit comments to 3 minutes. All right, roll call. Brent Gary,
Here.
Here.
Fred Brink,
Here.
David Beto,
Here.
May
Here. Present.
John Smart,
Here.
Joker.
Here.
Stephanie, Councilmember Smart, will you lead us in Pledge of Allegiance this evening?
My pleasure. One nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Councilmember Smart. Appreciate that. Council, the agenda is before you this evening. Are there any changes to our agenda this evening? Seeing none, may I have a motion to approve the agenda as presented?
I move to approve the agenda as presented. Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries. Thank you, Council. Presentations this evening, our Finance Director, Aaron Gwynn, will present the third quarter financial report. And with that, I'll turn the floor over to Aaron.
Right. Thank you, Mayor Gary. Good evening, Council. This evening, I'm presenting the 2025 third quarter financial report. It'll probably look somewhat similar to the budget amendment review I just did. I'll start with an overview and an economic update, followed by specific financial information regarding the general fund, followed by the other funds. For the first overview of the economy slide, we'll start with unemployment, which has increased 4.6% for Benton County. For my second quarter report, we're up from 3.7%. Another economic indicator we continue to monitor is inflation. One of the measures used is the Consumer Price Index, which nationally has a 12-month percentage increase of 3% when comparing September of 2024 to September of 2025. This is slightly up from 2.7% in the second quarter. The Seattle Metro is slightly less than the national average at 2.8%. The trend is hovering at the 2.5% to 3%, which is a more normal inflation rate than we've had in recent prior years. Locally, we look at the city's building activity. Single-family permits issued through the third quarter are down 7% from the same time period last year, with 82 new single-family permits issued. Multi-family permits for third quarter are also down, with 0 so far this year, compared to 40 last year. In terms of revenue generated, the city received 37% less building permit revenue than the last year's third quarter. This is another view of the new single-family home permits. The bar graph shows the years in comparison, and then the green line is showing the addition to the assessed valuation. This is a great example that demonstrates the volatility of home construction. And as we continue to see, the permits peaked in 2021. The next several slides look at the specific details regarding the general fund. This slide shows where the money comes from in terms of budget. You can see most of the general fund is generated from taxes at 66%, with the primary sources sales tax, property tax, and utility taxes. And I'll say on that last slide, none of it because this is all based off of September, so none of the adjustments we did for the mid-biennial are included in this. So this view of the general fund revenues collected, the city's collected 5% more in 2025 compared to 2024. Good news is sales tax revenue has seen an increase of 18%. And the other larger increase is the transfer in from Fund 105. These increases help offset the decreases from the building permit revenues, which, as I stated earlier, down 37% for the permit revenue and then 24% for the charges of services, which is primarily associated with the plan review fees. When reviewing trends, it's important to look at how we're doing compared to what was budgeted. In addition to the year-to-year changes, this slide compares the budget to what was collected through third quarter 2025. The general fund collected approximately 37% of budgeted revenues. We're looking to have collected about 37% for third quarter, so we're on track with the projections. These next two slides look at sales tax revenue in the general fund. As I stated in previous slide, sales tax increased 18% compared to the prior year. This view compares the different business sectors. The retail sector increased 17% and represents 37% of the sales tax collected by the city. Construction is another large sector, which also increased by 43% and represents 29% of the sales tax collected. Another major revenue source in the general fund is utility taxes. Overall, utility tax revenue increased 6% when compared to third quarter 2024. Here's another look at utility tax. Water, sewer, storm, garbage, and electric and gas taxes all saw increases, which is primarily due to rate increases. Telephone and cable are smaller utilities and remain flat or slightly decreased. Another major general fund revenue source is property tax, which increased 6% compared to the same period the prior year, and the majority of the taxes collected in the second and fourth quarters. So where does your money go? Most expenses in the general fund are for public safety at 42%. And as I stated in previous presentations, this is a little bit skewed due to the transfer out at 8%. So we do still have kind of those funds set aside for the well 2 and 3 project, as well as support for the street fund. Here's another look by department on where the money goes. Total general fund expenditures were at 32% of the biennial budget. And as a general guide, we're looking for 37% or less. The city has special revenue funds for streets, park impact, criminal justice, and library. This graph shows the major revenue sources for each fund. This street fund saw a 1% decrease. The library fund and criminal justice fund saw increases of 9% and 6%. And the park impact is impacted by the building activity, saw a 62% decrease. And a big part of the park impact is due to mitigation agreements for the 2 larger developments. This picture of the special revenue fund expenditures, most funds have remained flat except the criminal justice fund. And this has increased primarily due to the leased police vehicles. Next, we'll look at the capital project funds. This slide outlines the funds and their purposes. Fund 301, this holds State Route 224 project and is funded by real estate excise tax. Fund 302 is REIT 2, funds primarily for pavement preservation. And Fund 355 is a transportation improvement fund. And we have a large amount of transportation improvement projects in that fund as well. For revenues and the project funds, we've seen activity pick up in the third quarter for Fund 301, primarily due to the State Route 224 project and revenue coming in from the state reimbursing for project costs. The other two funds remain fairly flat or just below last year's collected. The primary source of funding for Fund 301 and 302 comes from the real estate excise tax. There was a 4% decrease through third quarter of 2025, comparing it to 2024. The bottom portions of the graph are a slightly darker blue, represent the first quarter. The portion just above that through second quarter, and the green portion is third quarter. If you look at the lighter blue or teal portion for 2025, this reflects what we budgeted for the year, which we have almost met the projection. And this is one of the items that was updated in the mid-biennial update. Revenues for Fund 355 are from traffic impact fees. The city saw a decrease in collection compared to third quarter last year. However, we budget the revenue source extremely conservatively due to the inconsistent revenue stream, and we've met the revenue projections for this year. This was another item also addressed in the mid-biennial review. This graph shows expenditures for the capital project funds through third quarter. Spending has picked up in Fund 301. This directly correlates with the State Route 224 project. And these last few slides take a closer look at our utility funds. For revenue, water collections increased 5%. There were approximately 5,986 water utility accounts billed at the end of September of 2025. Sewer collections increased 9%, primarily due to an increase in new residences as well as increase in rates. This image is of the irrigation revenue. Irrigation collections increased 2% for the third quarter of 2025. This is mostly a small utility and just can vary about the timing of payments. This graph displays stormwater collections up 12% compared to third quarter of 24. Again, rates due to the new residents as well as increased rates. And the last utility revenue, solid waste collections was up 9%, primarily due to rate increases and additional development. And this final slide shows the utility fund expenditures, and most saw slight increases due to operating costs increase. Any questions?
Thank you, Aaron. Councilmember Bloom.
I had three questions. One question is, probably Alicia better answers this one than you. You mentioned that there were 40 multifamily permits last year, none this year. Is a row house a multifamily permit, or is that considered a single family? I'm trying to figure out what pot that was in.
I can answer that.
Go ahead, Eric.
Oh, Eric's out there.
Eric's out there. Yep.
I'm here. I'm just I got some new parts this week and still trying to break them in. So the apartments we have, so row houses or townhouses are considered single family residential per the building code. So they are attached single family is how those are defined by state and other agencies. So that's why you're not seeing those on there with all of the row houses that we're seeing being built. We do have 2 apartment complexes coming in. One will likely be issuing the building permits for before the end of this year, which is the apartment development south of the elementary school. And the other site, they're in permitting as well, and we're anticipating issuing permits for them within the next couple of months.
No, my question was really, so you're implying that we had 40 apartment complexes put in last year?
I think it was
Or-
more like we had quite a few fourplexes coming in. The
Fourplexes, okay.
fourplexes, yeah.
All right, thank you. My second question was the REIT, you said we met the projected REIT fund amount. Was that because we undershot what we expected? I mean, because it's lower than any of the previous years.
I think yes, I don't know that, I think we were conservative. I think it's pretty static when we do project the revenue on REIT. I'm pretty sure, like, looking at the history, we've upped it a little bit. I think it's 325,000 a year. Is that
I
what
was
we-
looking at you said 650 this year was the projected, but all the previous years were well above, 700, 800, 1,200.
Yeah, it's
Just
one of those,
expect
it's
sales.
one of those funds I keep kind of in check for Roscoe. I don't like to project too much, so when he's doing his capital project budgeting.
And I'd like to clarify something. You said we had 6% increase in property tax. I believe that 6% comes from the fact that we had new construction added to it. We capped property tax at 1% for existing property, correct?
So, yeah, and it can do with timing too, because not everybody pays their taxes on time. So if there was a bunch of delinquent that got caught up in this year, we would recognize those revenue this year instead of last year.
I just didn't want anybody accusing us of raising property taxes by 6%.
That's why we have the auditor on board. All right, anybody else? All right, thank you, Aaron, much appreciated. All right, we'll move to our consent agenda this evening, which includes the approval of the minutes of the regular meeting, November 18th, 2025. A motion to reject all bids for well number 12R improvement project phase 1. Motion to accept Raceway Access Road Improvement Project as complete. Motion to approve amendment number 1 to the MOU between Pasco Police Department and West Richland Police Department. Motion to approve revocable license for use of property granted to the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs. And a motion to authorize the Chief of Police to submit the Patrick Leary Bulletproof Vest Partnership Program application. Is there anyone from the audience who would like to speak to our consent agenda this evening? Seeing no one in-house virtually, if you'd like to speak to the consent agenda, *9 by your phone or raise your virtual hand to be recognized. I see no one. Stephanie, do you? All right, very good. Thank you. That council may have a motion to approve the consent agenda this evening.
Move to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries. Thank you, council. That moves us to our first opportunity for citizen public comment for any items that are not on the agenda this evening. If you'd like to address council, please come to the podium, state your name and residency for the record. You'll have 3 minutes to address council. See no one in-house. Virtually, we'll move out to your land, *9, or raise your virtual hand to be recognized to address council for items that are not on the agenda this evening. I see no one virtually. Stephanie, do you?
I do not see anyone, no.
Well, then we'll go ahead and move on to ordinance resolutions, motions, and public hearings. Item 8A and B are a closed record hearing. And a motion to approve a major revision for plat number 013-2025 Ridge at Candy Mountain Phase 2. Since this is a closed record hearing, I will ask our city attorney Jessica Foltz to read through the hearing guidelines, and then we'll hear from our planner Alicia Ransom on her staff report. So,
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. A public body's decision on a quasi-judicial matter must be based on and supported by the record in that matter. The record consists of all testimony or comment presented at the public hearing and all documents or exhibits that have been submitted in connection with the matter being considered. Only parties of record will be allowed to provide comments and no new information or documentation can be introduced. The purpose of this closed record hearing is for the city council to consider the pertinent facts, applicable law, and to make a final decision on Plat 013-2025 Ridge at Candy Mountain Phase 2 Major Revision. The appearance of fairness doctrine applies to this hearing. That document requires, oh, we need to always fix this. That doctrine requires that this hearing be fair in form, substance, and appearance. The hearing must not only be fair, it must also appear fair. Therefore, at this time, I would like to ask a few questions of the council. Has any member of the council engaged in communication with opponents or proponents regarding this issue outside of the public hearing process?
No.
Will any member of the council obtain any financial benefit or suffer a financial loss as a result of the outcome of this hearing?
No.
No.
Is there any member of the council who believes that he or she cannot hear and consider this application in a fair and objective manner?
No.
And is there any member of the public, either proponent or opponent of this matter, who objects to the participation of any of the council members in hearing this matter? And I do not see any, at least in the audience, Mr. Mayor.
Good, thank you. Appreciate that. I see nobody virtually. Stephanie, do you? Okay,
No.
so we'll move on to Alicia for your staff report this evening.
Thank you. This is the major revision to the preliminary plat of Ridge at Candy Mountain Phase 2. The plat was submitted by BMB Development, Inc., along with Harms Engineering, which is the engineering firm attached to the project. The property owner is Brad Beecham. The request was to, the number of lots is staying the same on this, but the points of ingress and egress are changing, which results in the need for a major revision, and that's found in WRMC 16.04.140.D.4. Just to note, the preliminary plat has gone through 2 minor revisions for reductions in lots, and those were processed in 2023 and 2024. The main changes to the conditions of approval are due to the ingress and egress. And then the number of residents has changed due to the reduction in lots over the previous amendments. So, but there's some changes to condition 1 with the requirements for the fire truck turnaround on those private drives that have been added as the points of ingress and egress, as well as the requirements on those. The width has, there are different widths required, so that's been removed for the requirement for standard 20-foot, that's different. And then in 1G, addressing stormwater. The Planning Commission recommended that a council approve the major revision to the preliminary plat with 1 vote in opposition. And then staff also recommends the approval of the major revision to the preliminary plat.
Thank you, Alicia. Appreciate that. Are there any parties of record who would like to comment on this agenda item this evening? If so, please raise your virtual hand, or if you're in the audience, raise your hand to be recognized. See no one in-house, and I see no one virtually. Stephanie, do you?
I do not see anyone, no.
So we have motion to approve file number plat 013-2025 Ridge at Candy Mountain Phase 2 Major Revision. Council, do I have a motion, please?
I move to approve the major revision to the preliminary plat of Ridge at Candy Mountain Phase 2, file number PLAT-013-2025, based on the findings of fact, conclusion of law, and conditions of approval as recommended by the Planning Commission.
Second.
Motion and a second. Counselor, any questions of Alicia that were not answered during her staff report? Councilmember Bloom.
This is probably Roscoe's question. The portion of the street that's going to be at 12% grade, how long is that going to be?
I think it's about a couple 100 feet that goes up the thing.
Not like Collins.
It's not like Collins. And that was part of the discussion and why you had a planning commission member vote no. We previously granted a waiver for previous phase and there was already infrastructure installed. And so we honored that 12% with this major revision so that infrastructure wasn't going to have to be redone.
And the other question is, you deleted the 20-foot fire access. That's because it varies. It's not necessarily 20, or is it less, or?
It depends on the length and whether there's a fire hydrant on it. So we just referenced the International Fire Code.
Okay, so all right. Thank you.
Councilmember Smart.
Yeah, so just to follow up on that, so it varies, that width of that fire lane is not 20 feet and it'll be wider or narrower?
It will be required to meet the International Fire Code
Okay.
based on the actual length of the turnaround. So that's why we took the thing out. There's tables in the International Fire Code. So minimum is 20, but it may need to be 26 if there's a fire hydrant on it.
And was there also an amendment to this that changed the number of lots? Is that what I heard?
The number of lots was reduced with the previous two minor amendments.
Okay.
Because you can do a reduction in lots without it being a major revision.
And then Roscoe, what's the standard grade? What's the maximum grade we usually allow?
10%.
10%. Okay.
I'd like it to be 4, but yeah.
Yeah. One we all. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Great.
Thank you.
Member Moran.
Thank you very much. I just wanted to make sure that I understood what you had said. What was the reasoning that the one planning commissioner had said no?
Didn't like the 12% grade. She thought that was too steep, which it is. And it increases maintenance responsibility, especially in winter weather. But because we've previously authorized it, that waiver, and there's already infrastructure laid at that grade, that changing it now or not granting that would be significant cost to the developer.
Thank you. And just out of curiosity, because I am terrible at estimations of distances and grades and whatnot, what is the grade of Collins at the steepest?
It's steeper than 12.
There you go.
All right.
Right answer.
Thank you. Thank you.
No others? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries. Thank you, council. Appreciate it. We do not have any unfinished business or new business this evening, so that brings us to our second opportunity for citizen public comment. If you'd like to address council, please come to the podium and state your name and residency for the record. See no one in house. Reach into virtual land, *9, or raise your virtual hand to be recognized for public comment. Second opportunity this evening. I see we have a Chad with the hand up. We will ask Stephanie to unmute you and you will have 3 minutes to make comments to council. Go ahead, Chad. Can you hear me? Chad, are you unmuted on your end? I do not hear a Chad. We're going to give you a couple more opportunities here. Chad, you can address council. Go ahead and speak.
Are we there?
There you go. Got you now. Go ahead.
Okay. Thank you. I was wanting to comment back on the motions from well 12R. I know I was not by my computer when you guys spoke about that. So I was one of the bidders on that project, and I received a letter saying that all bids are going to be rejected based on the qualifications, which I felt that we met. And I tried calling a few people at the city today, and I sent an email last week, but got no response. And the qualifications are pretty stringent. And based on the letter I received from the city, it said that we had to provide 3 municipal wells as qualifications, where the qualifications only said a municipal well, quotation mark with a S, like plural. And we provided 2. It never said we had to provide 3 municipal wells. And we provided 2. The other bidder provided 0. And so I just disagree with the fact that all the bids are rejected based on that, because we did provide at least 2, and the specs qualifications required a plural 2. And I get a letter saying that, everything's rejected. And I disagree with the notion that all the bids are rejected. I feel that we met the qualifications and that all the bids should not be rejected.
Okay, thank you for your comment.
Mhm.
Anyone else virtually? Seeing no others virtually, we will go ahead and move on to staff council announcements and reports and comments. Staff members this evening? Mr. Slade.
Yeah, Council. So SR 224 Red Mountain Project, some big changes coming up on Monday. There'll be information on social media, website, and that. Contractors finished the roundabout at Rupert and Van Giesen and Belmont. So all those residents that have been having to come up Belmont to get out to Paradise will now be able to access on Monday, December 8th. That'll be open. The next phase of the project will close from that intersection to the Keene Road intersection as they rebuild that, and the intersection of Paradise and Van Giesen will be closed to all through traffic as they rebuild that roundabout. So if you're coming through town on Van Giesen, you've been turning off there to go out Rupert to hit Keene to then get back onto Van Giesen, that detour will be over the winter. And for those residents that were crossing Van Giesen at Paradise, you will not be able to on Monday. And that'll be for the next 4 or 5 months as they construct that section of the roadway and do the roundabout. Residents that live in that section have been provided notice on how they access their home. But the detour that everybody's been used to when they travel through town, it will stay the same. So anyway, making progress on it, still moving forward over the winter. And you'll continue to get updates and encourage people to check on social media and our website for maps and more updates.
Roscoe, any other staff? Council comments, reports? Councilmember Bloom?
As I mentioned when I came in, told some of you, I did what I proposed that most residents of West Richland do. If you are going to buy a car, buy it out of state. If you buy it out of state, West Richland gets the property tax.
Property tax?
I mean, the sales tax.
But yeah, you weren't raising the property tax a little earlier, and now you're padding it.
So it's a way of well, getting our money back. So head down to Hermiston, or as I did, fly down to Las Vegas, pick one up, drive it back. It's a nice.
Another reason you went to Las Vegas, yeah. Okay.
It was the least expensive option. I saved over $5,000 to $7,000.
That last airline ticket cost you, though, I mentioned.
A whole $5.94 plus air miles.
Councilmember Moran.
Thank you very much. And Roscoe might be able to explain this better than I, but I would like to mention at the last BFCOG meeting, we heard that the Transportation Improvement Program obligation status, currently the target was set for the federal fiscal year 2025 as 9.24 million, and we had 10.11 million programmed. And as of October 14th, 8 projects have been obligated, totaling 11.2 million. So we exceeded the target by 1.9 million, which is good because that means that maybe next year we might get more. If you correct me if I'm wrong, Roscoe.
So you're referring to the federal transportation dollars that come to our region through our Ben Franklin Council of Government that are awarded. The state sets goals that you have to spend a certain dollar amount or you are subject to lose those dollars. And so our region overspent, and so we're dealing with the federal government, and so overspending is good in this case. And what it does is it reduces next year's 2026 goal will be reduced by the overspending amount, and makes that goal easier to reach. And so by reaching that goal means other areas of the state that don't, there may be monies that get appropriated from those areas to here, or even more, other states that don't meet their federal obligation could come to Washington State also. So spending is good because it opens up opportunities for bring other money in, and our region does a really good job. Hindsight, if we don't meet your goal, you could lose your money, your federal dollars. And so that's a big deal that we make sure we're rewarding to, as a region, to good projects that don't have issues that can meet the deadlines. And we've even got checks and balances in to penalize agencies that can't meet performance guidelines. So.
Exactly. Yeah. And the next meeting that we're going to have is December 19th. It is going to be a hybrid meeting, and that is when we are going to be announcing who the representatives for the small cities, large cities, and, well, BFT, because they are the only one in that particular category. And then we're going to be voting on executive board members. And that is going to be same time as normal, 10 a.m. at the BFCOG. And like I said, they are hybrid, so you can go online and get the link to that through their packet.
Thank you, Councilmember. Mayor Pro Tem Brink.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just briefly, during the week of November 18th, I did attend the National League of Cities Annual City Summit Conference this year was held in Salt Lake City, Utah. During my stay there, I had the opportunity to visit community about 20 miles south, South Jordan. The community and one of the developments there is Daybreak. Daybreak is an example of the potential community that we are looking to consider and develop in the Lewis and Clark Ranch area. So I will provide some more detailed information about what I learned from my visit during an upcoming meeting that Eric Mendenhall is planning between the Planning Commission and the City Council. But the only other thing I'll mention is that this Saturday, council member-elect, yes, David, it's you. Our council member-elect and myself will be going to Walla Walla to attend the Elected Officials Essential. I think Councilmember Smart, you're planning to attend online?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, and so I welcome all of you during that event. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem Brink. I see no other cards up this evening, so we will go ahead and adjourn our meeting at 6:38. Thank you, council and participants.